Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well today. I have a message today, and this is for a girl who is tired of always being the man. And the song that's coming through is Stronger Than Me by Amy Winehouse. You can go listen to the whole thing, but the lyrics that are coming through are always have to comfort you when I'm there. But that's what I need you to do, stroke my hair, right? I think this is kind of this situation that a lot of women are finding themselves in these days, is that men just kind of want a mommy or like a therapist, or they're just lazy. They never want to plan a date, and it's just like, it's not fun, right? Because, we're already forced to be in this more masculine role of having to support ourselves on our own income and just like work so hard and just be an island in the sea, right? And that's not necessarily saying that like men need to fulfill this role, but it's just that women have no place for their femininity in their daily lives in this capitalist dystopia that we live in. And it's just this feeling like I think a lot of women are fed up with it. So let's just get in touch with this energy a little bit, and maybe we'll see if there's a suitor in the cards who will show you what a real man is like. Alright, so we have the Three of Pentacles here. And this is this feeling of building something, of using these different parts of yourself to work towards a higher goal, which is kind of the sense that I'm getting with your balance of femininity and masculinity, is that your masculinity helps you do things in the world, like the kind of hustle feeling, whereas your femininity is where you get these higher ideas that inspire you to take action. And justice. So I feel like there's this kind of feeling of like reciprocity in relationships, or this feeling of balance, of fairness, where that's why I feel like maybe some of your romantic relationships or dealings with men might have felt unbalanced, because it was like you were playing both roles, where you had to be the woman figure, where you're like, again, like you're this mommy kind of figure, but you're also like the masculine supportive figure, like the protector, where it's like you always have to comfort them about their feelings. Maybe the way that the dynamic always plays out is they're just like whining or complaining about all the things that they're going through, and you have to be all strong and stoic because you're trying to help them. And it's like if you showed that soft side of you, they would just not be able to do anything for you. Like in the song mentions, it's like they wouldn't stroke your hair, they wouldn't be able to comfort you in the same way that you can. So that's the sense I'm getting, is there's just this feeling of this unfair, unbalanced feeling in some of your relationships. But I think this could also relate to a sort of inner balance, like I mentioned, of masculine and feminine within yourself. All right, and we have the Six of Pentacles. So there's this feeling of generosity in this card, where it could be like maybe you were almost too generous with some of your energy in the past, where it's almost like you set up this dynamic a little bit too easily, where because of the fact that you're always willing to hear men out when they want to just talk about their emotions all the time, but they don't want to do the same for you, it's almost like they just see you as that figure, as that like therapist figure, and it's really hard to break out of that dynamic once you've established the relationship further. So maybe it has this feeling of like from the beginning is like not being too generous with your time or energy in that way. Otherwise, it's almost like being too masculine off the bat, that it puts men in their feminine energy too. And it's kind of like this cycle that feeds off of itself, where it's like if you come to the table not having that energy of overgiving, where it's like just straight off the bat you're not willing to just be someone's free therapist, then it's like they'll never be able to get you in that position because you just haven't allowed them to do it from the beginning. So there is this sense of just like fresh start, or like starting things, like building a really strong foundation is what I'm getting in relationships. But at the same time, I feel like a man who's really a man is not going to take advantage of your generous, gentle nature, because in some ways this is kind of like a feminine trait too, is like you're really gentle and nurturing, like you do want to hear people out and help them grow, but there is also just this feeling of imbalance where they're not really doing the same thing for you. And so we have the Ten of Cups coming out. So there is this feeling of like a celebration between a couple here, but then also maybe like their inner children, or their own literal children, or themselves as children. So the sense that I'm getting is that in this relationship where you both feel really comfortable in your roles, it's this feeling of like a celebration and like seeing a rainbow. And I feel like that's kind of the sense I'm getting, is like for yourself as well, is like you have this vision of this sort of divine union in which everything is so balanced that things just look like a rainbow. There's no more of that straining of like, if you've ever had those moments in relationships where you're like, get me out of here, like I'm so done. I feel like there's none of that sense in this balanced relationship that you're envisioning. And the sense that I'm getting is that this is a very possible future for you. Like I mentioned, I think there is someone out there who is going to be the perfect suitor to help heal this wound or fulfill this role in your life, where it's something that you'll just feel very rewarded by. So maybe let's draw some cards and figure out who this mysterious man is. Okay, so the Queen of Pentacles. So the sense I'm getting is that this relationship is something that is growing right now. It's something brewing. So I feel like this is someone who has been observing you from a distance, and maybe you are even aware of who this is, but maybe you're not. But the sense I'm getting is it's like they haven't actually approached you just yet. If there is someone in your life who you do consider a romantic prospect, then maybe this might not resonate with you. But the sense I'm getting from this reading is that it is someone who knows you. There's someone who knows what you're looking for. And I feel like you've been putting out those feelers as well, or giving out that sign of like, you're in your feminine receptive energy, right? Because that's the whole thing, is like, if you have to go out and chase a man and it's like you're the one asking a man out and planning dates, then that is just a precursor for what is to come in the relationship, of the dynamic between the two of you, where you are going to get into this feeling of the other person is more in their feminine energy. And like, the thing is, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, in the song that I referenced, she does like ask her boyfriend if he's gay. And okay, that's not what I'm getting at, okay? Because the thing is, it's okay for a man to be more in the feminine energy, and it's okay for a woman to be more in the masculine energy. But the thing is, if that's not something you want, like that's not something you resonate with, then there's no sense being pushed too far into that energy that isn't your vibe. Like, if you think of yourself as a naturally feminine person, but you find yourself always taking on the masculine role in a relationship, then that's just not something that's for you, right? You can just say, I'm not really into that. Like, I want a man who's more masculine. And some people who are heterosexual women want a man who's more feminine, and that's okay. That's just our natural dynamic going on. But I think I'm specifically talking to a very feminine woman who wants a very masculine man in her life. All right, so I feel like you are someone who has been in your feminine receptive energy. Like, you've really been putting out the sense of like, I'm not chasing anyone. I don't want to have to ask a man out ever. So I feel like this is the sense I'm getting from the suitor, is that he is someone who's going to approach you in time, when the timing is right? Like, this egg is developing, it's hatching. Okay, and then I'm getting in this person's energy the Eight of Cups here. So there is this feeling of walking away from something or crossing onto new shores, and maybe this feeling of like almost being a little bit hidden. Like, it's this feeling of not direct sunlight, but more like moonlight, where things are a little bit obscured. So I feel like this is someone who is maybe moving into a new stretch of their life, which I feel like applies to you as well, where it's like maybe you've built up this certain history of relationships that are a certain way, but I feel like now you're both moving on to new shores of some sort of fresh version of a relationship. So I feel like this relationship for you is going to be kind of a first for both of you in some ways, where, like I mentioned, you might have been really in your masculine energy in a lot of your relationships in the past, but I feel like it's going to be new for you in the fact that you're not. And then similarly, I feel like this could have been the dynamic for this person as well, where maybe they have been pushed into their feminine energy, or they had wanted an outlet for their masculine energy, but they had simply been paired up with people who were naturally in a more masculine energy. And like, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it's just that, maybe they weren't a good match in the past. And it's kind of natural that people attract this kind of wrong match for themselves sometimes, just because they're maybe not in tune with this inner balance, and that causes them to see relationships reflected in their life that are also imbalanced. Or it could be the sense of you're seeking out people who are like a little bit too much like you, where it's this feeling of looking for compatibility on the level of mind. So you're really looking for this lifestyle compatibility thing, where you see that someone likes doing all the same things as you, or they act really similar to you, so you think, oh, we must be compatible in a relationship. But this is almost like you don't have that contrast, that juxtaposition that makes it more exciting, right? Like that kind of yin and yang feeling. So it's like, if you're too similar, then you get too much yin energy going on, and it's like you could be really great friends maybe in some ways, or just real recognized real type of thing. But when it comes to this type of passionate, romantic, erotic relationship that's more on this divine union level, right? You want that contrast, where it's like there's things you don't expect, or it's like someone else is playing the role that you don't want to have to play. All right, the Three of Swords. So I think I'm also getting this in this masculine's energy, where there's this sense of heartbreak going on here, where I feel like maybe they just previously walked away from a relationship, and this could have been something that's a rather fresh wound, or it could be like a bit of an older wound where they're not quite over it. But the sense I'm getting is that it's not that they're not over the person. Like, I feel like they walked away from the relationship because they were just done with that situation. But I feel like it's the sense of heartbreak I'm getting is that it was almost like that maybe turn them off from the idea of romantic love, where maybe they had thought that this person was the one to some degree, where I feel like this is someone, like I mentioned, in their masculine energy, like they're really ready for commitment. And I feel like that's why, like in the past, they had really committed to this relationship. But now, because they had this like heartbreak feeling, it's almost like there's a sense of not being ready to commit to something again, but it's not like commitment issues. It's just like they know that when they commit to something, it's like this is the one. So I feel like if they're not approaching you, it's more like they're gathering more information or waiting till the timing is right. Because it's like if they lock in on you and really committed to you in the full sense, then it would be like you're locked in for life, right? Until the situation gets unbearable or something that will cause them to walk away. But that's the sense I'm getting, is like this is kind of a divine union level relationship where it's like you can't walk away. Like once you're locked in, I mean, you can walk away if you want to, of course, but I don't think you'll want to, is the sense that I'm getting. So it's this feeling of, you know, good things take time to grow, and like patience and understanding that this person who is approaching you has walked a really similar path. Like the sense that I'm getting is like you have a lot of frustration when you regard your romantic encounters or just your dating prospects, just being really frustrated, like none of this is good enough, this is not what I want, like I'm so done, I can't do the same thing again. And maybe you've been going on dates with people and you're starting to see those signs of like, oh my god, I can see the exact same dynamic playing out as would have played out in the past, and it's like this hopeless quality that I'm getting. But I feel like if there's a sense of, you know, taking time to sort of get back in touch with what you really want, and then the thing that you want will come to you, but it's like you really have to be in touch with it and not compromise. So like I mentioned, if you've been going out on dates and you're starting to notice like this person is really sucking on my energy, they're not here to reassure me, they just want free therapy, and then you go on a second date with them, it's like, no, you're chasing away the real love of your life, right? Like, drop it, because that's not working for you. So it's making space in your life and in your heart and in your mind for something that is actually going to work for you. And that means rejecting the options that are not right for you. And it's just like this cutting sword like quality, right? Of like, cut off, we're done. Like, you know, you can give people second chances, of course, but I think you are the type of intuitive person who can really tell what someone's energy is like right off the bat. And so the sense I'm getting is you're just, you can tell right away. So don't be compromising. All right. The Tower. So the sense I'm getting is, yeah, this is again in your masculine's energies. Like, I think the reason they might not be approaching you is they're going through some sort of serious Tower moment in their life, where I feel like if you're watching this, you have already gotten to a certain level in your spiritual ascension, where that's not to say that you don't have these kind of Tower moments, because it's very common that you would have these in your life throughout your whole life. And then on top of that, there's like this daily regular feeling of the tower falling every time you dethrone false knowledge and dethrone the ego. But I feel like I mentioned you're already used to this, whereas I think your masculine is not used to it, where I feel like they're really at this turning point where I think they're having this realization about like letting a lot of their past knowledge fall away, where I feel like you've done this inner work, this healing work, where I think you've went through your history, your childhood history, and really unpacked like, why am I the way I am? Like, my parents' relationship influenced some of my past relationships, or maybe I was replicating my home life in my other relationships too, or you're integrating your shadow of all these things that you find shameful or disgusting about yourself, and kind of understanding why you had placed those traits in this more repressed place, and then trying to integrate that into you in a healthy manner where you can then express these feelings without harm to anyone. But I feel like with this masculine, it's like they haven't done that conscious healing work just yet, but it's like something in their life forced them to have to face it and have to do it. And if you've ever gone through this, what you might call a tower moment, which sometimes leads into this kind of dark night of the soul feeling, you understand that this is a really hard path to travel, and something that kind of needs to be done on your own, where it is really nice to have people around you who are supporting you. But when you're going through this kind of crazy shift of like dethroning the ego and letting go of everything that you ever knew, it's like you can't really be pouring into a romantic relationship at that time. But I feel like this is almost a precursor to being able to come towards you and develop a stronger relationship with you, where maybe even meeting you in some ways was kind of like a tower moment, where they were like, oh, like I actually need to lock in, because I think maybe, like I mentioned, they have been dealing with this other type of person in the past, right? Like someone that they couldn't have this sort of divine relationship with, of just really feeling balanced, of feeling like everyone is in harmony, right? Where, yeah, there's just this feeling of imbalance or people feeling unsatisfied with things, right? But I think when they met you, or if they're looking at you from a distance, they're like, oh, this is someone who I could actually see things working out with, right? But I think that caused them to reflect on themselves too and realize like they might not have been fully in the place to be expressing their truest nature, where I feel like they were in touch with it to a degree in the past, or they had consciously been aware of the fact that this was the nature they wanted to embody. But like I mentioned, there had been nothing in their life that had forced them to do this healing work before. So it's almost like they were putting it off a little. But then I feel like when they saw you, it's like, okay, lock in. So there is this really strong feeling of just like, again, like taking time, waiting for things to develop when the time is right, because you want someone who has gone through this whole path already, right? You don't want to have to meet someone in their unhealed version of themselves and then be like, okay, we're done, come back to me when you're ready, right? That's not really too fun, right? I feel like you want someone and it's just like, okay, we're ready, let's do this. And I dropped some cards. Alright, so I have the Two of Swords here. I feel like this is more in your energy. And the Five of Wands here, again, I feel like is really in your energy. And then the Ten of Pentacles. Again, I'm going to put this one in your energy is what I'm feeling. There is this sense of, yeah, like there's a sense of conflict. And like, especially in this Five of Wands, it's like this conflict between men. I feel like there's like a choice that you're making where it's like you have suitors fighting over you in a way. Or maybe you don't even know this. Like maybe you do have people in your DMs or asking you out a lot or just kind of chasing you down in public. Or maybe you don't, but it is happening whether you know it or not, where it's like, I think it's because, again, it's this feeling of like inviting this love into your life, where it's like, if you're putting out the sense that you don't want a certain type of energy, there could be 10 people who are wanting to pursue you, but you've made it so clear that that's not what you're about, that they're not even going to bother because they know that they would just be rejected right off the bat. So I feel like there is a sense of like a lot of people want you, but you're very selective. And I feel like this is really the impression that you give. But as you can see on this card of the Two of Swords, right, it's the two swords pointing either direction, and then one is pointing towards the moon. So it's almost like you were kind of going back and forth on this of like, should I just settle with this type of man that I've dealt with in the past, even though I know that that's not something I really like and the lifestyle is not really sustainable for me long term when it comes to your happiness, right? And then the other option is like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to be in my feminine nature, really just get into feeling okay in that and like really feeling safe in my body, in my feminine nature without needing this really strong masculine aspect to like make me feel safe. Like I feel like you already are feeling safe by yourself. Like it's, again, like I mentioned, there's this inner balance. It's not like you need a physical man around you to feel safe in your feminine nature. It's like you just naturally are because you are so able to embody it. Like it's just something that comes naturally to you. So I think I get the sense that I'm getting is like you're choosing between these two of like, will I be able to be safe in my feminine nature without needing to overcompensate with overdrawing my masculine qualities, or will I go back to, you know, over representing the masculine side of myself so that I can secure a man, right? But I feel like it's almost this false choice where it's like, you know, you're going to be more happy if you would just allow yourself to naturally do what feels right for you and follow your intuition rather than just grasping at something you think you need. Because like this is kind of how it has gone for you in the past, is the sense that I'm getting is like, in the past you had felt this kind of imbalance, or you had felt you were more in your feminine nature and you wanted that masculine counterpart in your life, but then you approached it from the level of mind of like the psychological strategy that wasn't really working, right? Because you're like, okay, I need a masculine counterpart, therefore I'm going to go out and get a man and then secure this man into my life. But like I mentioned, what that does is now you're securing a feminine man because you had to go out and chase him, right? So it's like if you actually want this real masculine counterpart, he's gonna come to you. So it is this false choice of like, oh, should I go out and chase or should I sit here and focus on myself? It's like, no, there is no really choice in this, right? If you want someone to approach you and like step up and be a man, you have to sit there and be in your feminine energy. And when I say sit there, I don't just mean like just sitting, although like meditation might be good for you, but it's also just like, again, like I mentioned, it's like really working on feeling safe in your body, like really looking into some sort of formal exercises that will make you feel grounded, or just doing things that make you feel grounded and safe and confident in your body, like take a hot bath, eat a nice healthy meal that you've cooked for yourself, or do something for you that is just like something you really enjoy, like learn a new talent, learn a new skill, or investigate some research project that you've been wanting to work on, right? It's just like pour that energy back into yourself and be okay with receiving love rather than having to go out and chase it. And that's how you secure this more type of masculine figure in your life, right? He's gonna come to you. Just trust, okay? And now we have the Ten of Pentacles. So there is a sense of different stages of life going on here. And there is, like, again, like there's two adults with a child, and then there's two dogs and an old man. So maybe it's kind of getting in touch with these various aspects of yourself, right? So it's like you have that inner woman, an inner man inside of you, and you have your inner child. And it's like you want them to be a happy family inside yourself before you're ready to go out there and, start a real family in the world, right? You want to make sure that this is balanced inside of you, right? If you have this kind of inner masculine figure of like a father image maybe, and he's kind of like a weak, pathetic man in your head, and this could be a reflection of your actual father and how you see him, or it could just be something that you've built up in your head where it's like if you've ever seen that dynamic of like a woman where she's mad at her husband for not disciplining the kids or something, like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But it's like it's taking place inside your head where it's like the masculine figure is really seen as weak, and the inner woman, like the inner mother, could be quite castrating and masculine. And this again could be like a reflection of your actual parental dynamic. But the sense I'm getting is like if you're ever trying to get in your feminine energy and you hear this voice in your head that is like, oh, you're so lazy, you should be doing something, you do some activity, like you can't just sit around and do nothing, right? That's the sense that I'm getting, is like this more punishing feminine inner voice. When you try to get in touch with your femininity, if you feel this cruelness coming out, that's where that's coming from. And similarly, it's like when you emasculate a certain side of yourself, where it's like, again, like I mentioned, is like it's almost like you might go for like these weak or pathetic men because they are, sorry, that's kind of mean, I actually more feminine men, it's still mean, no, but you get the sense of what I'm trying to say, is like this type of man that you're not attracted to, right? It's almost because your inner masculine figure looks like that, and that's the only type of man you can imagine. It's almost like a blind spot. It's like if 100 men walk past you on the street, you would only see the ones that remind you of this inner masculine figure. So it's like really building that up and getting in touch with that. And it's like building up this concept of your inner emperor, right? And this is not getting you too far into your masculine energy, like I mentioned. It's simply a balance where it's not like you're glorifying either the masculine or feminine side of yourself. It's understanding that what you express in the world might lean more towards the feminine side. But inside yourself, both poles are extraordinarily strong and powerful and kind and gentle. They're good rulers. Neither of them are criticizing you for your actions or for your thoughts. They're both encouraging and nurturing you in different ways, right? Like there is a feminine nurturing quality that is more gentle, and there's the masculine nurturing quality that is like, go out and fix something in your house, But it's like, this is symbolic. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go fix anything, but it's like how you get in touch with these inner energies. And then we have the old man figure here too, and the child. So with a child, it's like your inner child. Doing things that will delight your inner child is really good for just feeling secure in your body, right? Because this is really the feeling. It's like when you get in what I call the scared bunny rabbit mode, where it's just like maybe you have anxiety, or like your heart is kind of fluttering, you feel really stressed out, like you don't know what to do. It's like you don't feel safe or secure in your own body. So there's this sense of that's the child inside of you who felt really unsafe. And, it could have been like you actually had a precarious situation growing up where you genuinely weren't safe, or it could have just been these feelings of unsafeness as a child, where it's like a lot of these traumas are formed before we even have a conscious mind, before we can even understand what's going on around us. Like some of this trauma just sticks around from genuinely being a baby, like when a baby's crying all the time, it's like it needs something but it doesn't know what it needs, it can't express it, and it's just so distressed. Like that is the energy you're getting in touch with when you don't have a healed inner child. But when you do things that delight your inner child, show that is appreciated, like something like when you go outside, don't just be thinking about, oh, what should I do tomorrow, or anything like that, right? Just look at the snow falling and it's like, oh my gosh, the snow looks like glitter, it's so beautiful. Or like, when you sometimes maybe you might sit down to do some creative activity, you're like, okay, I need to put out something really serious that's going to impress my peers, right? Like little kids don't think that. It's just like, I'm going to get out the crayons and play for a little bit and just have some fun, look at the pretty colors. So those are the kinds of things you can do to get in touch with your inner child, or just, go to the dollar store and go look at all the stickers and toys and just, maybe even buy yourself one just as a little treat. And that's just something fun you can do for your inner child. And with this older man figure, it's like this inner wise man figure, this what comes to me when I think of this is like we stand on the shoulders of giants, of like this connection to history and all the great minds of history. So it's like you have this inside of yourself too to guide you. And it's like getting in touch with this, like a kind of all-knowing older man. And maybe you had an example of this in your life, like maybe an older professor or a neighbor or something like that, or just maybe there's a figure like a Gandalf, So it's like the sense of getting in touch with that image of like, if you ever feel like, I don't really know what to do with my life, or things just feel a little bit confusing sometimes, it's like this wise, all-knowing man who has lived 70 years, or perhaps 700 years, or 700 lifetimes, right, will come in and guide you and be like, this, it's okay, like, look at all the great wisdom of the sages of old, and it just will make you feel more secure and more in touch with that side of yourself too. And with the dogs, this is very reminiscent of the dogs on the moon card where they're howling at the moon together. So to me, this is a representation of the divine union that is brought together under the light of the moon, which has appeared on a few of these cards here. So it's this feeling of things that are shrouded and mysterious. Like, I think the way that this connection that you're envisioning comes about will be quite mysterious to you, quite difficult to put into logical words of like how you could actually meet this person. It's really hard to know. It could really happen in any way, and you might not really know exactly what's going to happen. Like I mentioned, I think this is someone who's watching you, but it's like you might have a chance encounter with them where it's like you might be at a same event as them, or you might have friends who run in the same circles, and you just run into them by surprise, and this is almost like when they pounce and make their move. But I think right now, this is just the sense I'm getting. It's like they're just collecting information right now. But let's just draw 3 cards on what they're thinking about you to close out this reading. Alright, so we have the 9 of Wands. Ooh, okay, this is this wounded feeling. Okay, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, there is this sense of very prosperity in the future. Okay, then we have the 4 of Pentacles, and this is a feeling of being very guarded. So yeah, I feel like this person is quite guarded and wounded, and I feel like it's almost like they're scared. Like, I feel like they see you as a little bit of a heartbreaker, because this is the thing, like, men prefer women who are more in their masculine energy sometimes, just because it's more like a safe bet, where it's like, okay, she's not gonna break my heart, because they're kind of like a dime a dozen. It's just like a little bit more common, because it's hard to get in touch with your feminine energy. Like I mentioned, under capitalism, or if you have this really unregulated inner child, it's so hard to feel secure in your body while being in touch with this feminine energy, because it feels like, oh my god, I'm gonna get left behind. So it's very rare to meet someone who has a very balanced energy but expresses themselves in a more feminine quality. So sometimes when you're in this more feminine quality, people will see you as like a heartbreaker, like a man-eater, seductress, temptress. So there is this feeling of like being a little bit scared of you because they know that you could do some damage to them, where it's like if they actually approached you and got rejected, that would hurt in so much of a different way than that if they approached someone who was just, not really in their seductive feminine energy, which would be like, okay, whatever. Not that heartbreaking, right? Because that wasn't really a possibility for me. It was like maybe an option, but like not really an option. Whereas with you, it's like, okay, you're the one, and it's like if they got rejected by you, it's over for them. Like, they're gonna be obsessed with you for life. So the sense I'm getting is like, again, the sense of preparation, of getting to that point where they're actually ready to be the person that they need to be for this relationship to succeed. So it's like, yeah, getting to that point and just being, there's a little bit of trepidation involved. And then with the 4 of Pentacles, it's like, I feel like this is someone who's very guarded, especially around their heart. Like I mentioned, I think they're very scared of getting their heart broken, where, like I mentioned, I think maybe similar to you, they have some romantic concepts about this idea of this higher level of love that just feels like heaven on earth. But because they've had their heart broken in the past, it's almost like being so scared to open up that place again and let someone into their heart. So that is really the sense I'm getting, is like, when this person approaches you, is to not be too cavalier about things. But like I mentioned, there is this sense of like, this feminine seduction and flirtation that you can play up. But it's like, if someone approaches you, don't be a heartbreaker right off the bat, because maybe it took a lot of effort to work up the strength to do that. But at the same time, you know, I feel like I mentioned this is going to be a person who you're very attracted to because they are fulfilling that role that you want filled in your life. So I don't think you're going to reject a specific person, but that's just the general guidance I'm getting from the cards when it comes to suitors approaching you. And what they're thinking about you with this Wheel of Fortune card is I feel like they see you as very wise. Like, I feel like you're someone who has a lot of knowledge about the mysteries of life and death and the mystery of love. And you're someone who's very well read. I feel like you have a lot of knowledge on various topics, especially when it comes to love and spirituality, maybe human psychology as well. So there is a sense like this person sees you just as someone who has kind of mastered all the elements. You really have this sense of union within you of the masculine and feminine qualities, but also of earth, air, water, and fire. And it's just this really balanced whole individuated self that is just so impressive, because it's not like you're copying anything that you just saw someone else express. Like, you're not imitating your parents, you're not imitating what people told you a good wife should look like. It's like you have intuitively gotten in touch with who you want to be as a person and who you want to be as a romantic partner, and it's something that you have built up from your core sense of self. I also feel like this person sees the Wheel of Fortune spinning when you guys are together, like the sense of we could do something great together, which is like, I think they're imagining a future with you where you're both reaching your highest potential. And I feel like maybe this relationship contributes to that feeling of reaching your highest potential, just because you would both be so supported in the ways that you need to be supported, where it's like this masculine doesn't want this kind of cloying presence, but they just want this feminine, nurturing, receptive quality that I think you embody. And similarly, you don't want this kind of deadbeat, absent, emotionally checked out partner who just wants to, you know, pour their woes onto you, but it doesn't actually care about any real mutual emotional connection. I think you want someone who's like, who will see your feelings for what they are, really witness them in their entirety, and give you the support that you need in the right way that you want and need from this connection. So I just feel like this is going to be a very balanced connection where you'll both reach a really high level of prosperity. But like I mentioned, the guidance coming from the cards is just to sit pretty, do your thing, and this love will come to you in time, in divine timing. Just trust. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I am running a special promotion where all my custom, personalized, pre-recorded readings will be $25 for 20 minutes until the end of February. So if you're interested in booking one of those, please send me an email, which is in my bio or in the video description. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.